Hi folks, David Waring here again with InformedTrades.com and today's lesson of the day. In our last lesson we looked at two of the most common mistakes that traders make relating to trading psychology, which are holding on to losing positions where the trader knows he's right but the market continues to move against him, and altering one's trading strategy on the fly as a result of missed trading opportunities. In today's lesson, we're going to look at another aspect of the psychology of money management which causes many traders to fail, which is known as people's desire to trade as part of a crowd. Probably the best example that I've seen relating to this, or best summary, is in Dr. Alexander Elder's book, Trading for a Living. Dr. Elder is a trader and psychologist. Many traders follow his work and consider his book to be one of the better books out there on psychology and trading tactics and money management. And in this book, Dr. Elder talks about the psychology of crowds and how people react differently when trading as a part of a crowd instead of individually. I'm going to give a quote here. He says, "People change when they join crowds. They become more credulous, impulsive, anxiously search for a leader, and react to emotions instead of using their intellect." In his book, Dr. Elder even points out several examples of well-known academic studies where things as simple as choosing between which line is longer on a piece of paper, where one line is obviously longer than another, become difficult for people when they're put into a group where several of the group members are instructed to give the wrong answer before the individual is given an opportunity to give his answer. Perhaps nowhere is this desire to be part of a group and the strange effect that it has on things shown more dramatically than in the financial markets. One very recent example of this, as we've gone over in some of my previous lessons, is the NASDAQ bubble and the run-up of the NASDAQ into 2000, and the subsequent bursting of that bubble and an extreme sell-off after that. If you look through financial history, however, you'll find that this type of bubble is not an isolated incident, and in fact, financial history is actually littered with similar examples of, or numerous examples of bubbles just like the NASDAQ bubble. So why does history keep repeating itself here, and why do people continue to get caught up in these speculative bubbles and then lose a lot of money as a result of that? And as Dr. Elder points out in his book, it really goes back to people's primitive desire to be part of a group, because in the jungle days, so to speak, if you are with the group, then you're normally safer than if you're alone. And similarly, militaries with the strongest leaders tend to be the ones that win wars. These types of things, are groups with the strongest leaders in the jungle, so to speak, tend to be the groups that survive, and groups with the weakest leaders are the ones that perish. So you can sort of see how from a primitive standpoint the brain is wired to want to be a part of and stay with the crowd, and also want to be a part of and stay with the strong leaders. So how does this relate to trading? Well, price in trading is the leader, or sorry, is the crowd, and the trend is the leader of that crowd. So people focus an immense amount of attention on price, especially once they're in a position and their emotions go up and down with the gyrations in the price, and people follow the trend, and when the trend changes, people sell off in a panic oftentimes, because this is sort of seen as the leader of the group, so to speak, changing his mind and changing direction, or going away, so to speak, and then people start to sell in a panic. As an example of how much easier it is to follow the crowd than to go it alone, so to speak, think about how difficult it would have been to try and pick the top of the NASDAQ going into 2000. Even if you would have been right and started shorting the NASDAQ into February, March of 2000 at the top, you would have been pretty much by yourself in doing that, and there would have been a lot of people who would have been looking at you and thinking you were pretty stupid for shorting the NASDAQ when everybody else was buying. Now, in hindsight, that trade would have worked out very well for you, but if it wouldn't have, then again there you would have been sort of the laughing stock of your social circle for shorting when everybody else knew that the market was going to continue to go up. On the flip side of that, if you think about all the people who lost money when the NASDAQ bubble burst after 2000, there weren't too many people that were laughing at them because there were so many people that lost money along with each other that it was kind of like, oh well, I wasn't dumb because everybody else lost money too. So you can sort of see people's desire and need to be a part of the crowd. Now, does this mean you shouldn't trade with the crowd? Not necessarily. It means that you need to be able to know when to trade with the crowd because that can be very powerful in catching some strong moves and some large trends in the market, but you need to be able to think rationally while trading as a part of that crowd. And the way to do that is to have a trading strategy and a trading plan in place before you get into a trade and sort of become part of the crowd, so to speak, and all the emotions that come with that, okay? So that's what we're going to start talking about in the lessons that come, is how to develop a trading plan and a money management strategy so that once you're in a trade and you become part of this crowd, you have a trading plan to fall back on when the typical emotions that affect every human being come into play as the market moves up and down and moves for you and against you in that trade. So that's our lesson for today. If you'd like to purchase Dr. Elder's book that I've mentioned throughout this lesson, I strongly recommend it. And if you're watching this video on Informed Trades, you can find the link where you can do so just below this video. If you're watching this video on YouTube or one of the other video sites, you can find that link in the description section of that site. In our next lesson, we're going to start talking about some of the different strategies which you can use to help manage trades. So we hope to see you in that lesson. As always, if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them in the comments section below. And good luck with your trading.